This is the Mig-21MF, a Russian-built jet fighter placed on the German line at Tier 6 BR 10.3 and costing 390,000 research points. The Mig-21MF is an export version of the Mig-21SM, which itself was the third generation of the Mig-21 design. So starting off with the armament, the fixed armament is a single GSH-23L 23mm cannon. This gun is mounted centrally under the fuselage of the aircraft and has a fire rate of 3,400 rounds per minute with 200 rounds of ammunition supplied. This will give you around 3.5 seconds of trigger time before your ammunition is expended. The gun has 4 ammunition belt types: default, armored targets, air targets, and stealth. Personally, I tend to take the air target rounds. The Mig-21 has access to a series of secondary payloads, firstly the air-to-air missiles. First missile available is the R3S. This is a Tier 2 modification and is an IR-guided missile with a 10G overload. It is comparable to the AIM-9B Sidewinder, from which early versions of this missile were reverse-engineered. The second missile available for this aircraft is the R60. The R60 is a modification at Tier 4 after the previously mentioned R3S. The missile itself is a short-range IR-guided missile with a 30G max overload. Despite the flight performance improvements, this missile does however drop its range and explosive mass when compared to the earlier missile. This was done in real life to make the missile lighter. The MF also features a variety of air-to-ground ordnance options. This includes 250kg bombs, S5K rockets, and S24 rockets. At the time of making this video, I have yet to research the S24s, which is why I will not be assessing the vehicle's ground attack capability. So moving on to flight performance, the aircraft is of course fast. Powered by its Tumansky R13 turbojet, which produces up to 6,480 kilograms of force, the aircraft is capable of passing supersonic speeds at sea level and up to twice the speed of sound at altitude. The engine, however, does drain the fuel quite fast when using the afterburner, so taking at least 30 minutes of fuel or the full 36 minutes is advisable in my opinion. In addition, the Mig-21 does handle quite well at combat speeds, although will bleed its speed quite fast in a turn due to the high angle of attack that the aircraft will usually take. Due to this, engagements can end with the aircraft flying at slower than ideal speeds, where the maneuverability is not quite as good, so it is certainly advisable to accelerate and get back to higher speeds before starting another engagement. Another positive of the Mig-21 is the climb rate. 165 meters per second on the stat card makes it one of the fastest in the game, so it'll have no trouble getting to altitude in a hurry. A few final things to note: the Mig-21MF does have a detailed cockpit model and also has 4 skin options with a default bare metal scheme, 2 Polish Air Force Market skins, and a Hungarian Air Force Market skin. So getting into some gameplay in Air RB, we're starting off with the game on Malta, and as you can no doubt see, I am using the Hungarian Air Force Market skin, which is certainly a rather distinctive paint scheme. Now, while a majority of my team decided to head-on rush the enemy forces, I decided to try and flank around and sort of come in from the side, and while doing this, I came across my first target, a J-35D. We both commit to the head-on, I fire shots, duck out a little bit, and that's a pretty simple kill. I only just missed the rounds from that Draken, but thankfully didn't get hit, didn't take any damage, while him on the other hand, yeah, he went down. So pretty efficient first kill there, demonstrating that gun, the GSH-23. Continuing on though, I don't see anyone else on this side of the map, so I decide to head in towards the remainder of the enemy forces, and while doing that, I start targeting a Jaguar. Want to get as close as possible before firing the R60. As said, it hasn't got the best range. It is a short-range air-to-air missile. So I fire the missile, the Jaguar is now kind of coming towards me. I figure the missile's going to miss, but no, it gets a critical hit and the Jaguar goes down. As soon as that Jaguar is down though, I reposition to go head-on with another Jaguar. We both fire, I pull out, but one of my elevators does get hit and I lose it, but not to worry, I can still fly. That Jaguar did go down in the head-on, and now I'm targeting an F4EJ. Going in, he tries to duck out, I just spray some shots, get a critical hit, and then he goes down. And I've still not even used half of my ammunition load, so despite the high fire rate and the relatively limited amount of ammunition, you can actually be quite efficient with this gun and make it last for quite a while. Although with that was the end of the game, 4 kills, and at the end of the game I still had 3 of my 4 air-to-air missiles left, so majority of the work there was done by that 23mm cannon. So getting into our second game, starting off by engaging a pair of F4EJs. First one does not seem interested in getting shot down, fires flares, runs away. Second, however, pulls vertical, lovely chance for a gun run. I go in and I take him down. Granted, not the most efficient use of ammunition, but it got the job done. Unfortunately though, the game does not seem to be going my way. A short while later, most of my team is dead, and the remaining friendlies are being swarmed by enemy fighters. There is an F4E who's not really paying attention, who makes pretty easy bait for one of my R60s, and I then spot the F4EJ who ran away previously, going quite slow at low level. I close in very quickly, fire a missile, and as he gets a kill with a missile, he then gets killed by a missile. And then we finally finish up with an F4E who was evading another friendly and lined himself up perfectly for a gun run. Unfortunately, that was it. The rest of my friendly fighters got killed, and then it was just me being swarmed by a group of F4 Phantoms and an F100. The F100 came in, did a gun run, and killed me, as I was quite low and quite slow. Not exactly the best situation to be in the Mig-21. So into our third and final game, in the Mig-21, we're back to using the rather distinctive Hungarian paint scheme. Starting off by engaging an F100, rather rough gun run there, just spraying a bunch of shots in front of him, and thankfully one of them did hit, giving me a critical. Nothing more on the F100 for now, but that will come into play a little bit later. After the F100 though starts to run away, I decide to engage a Hunter, who then gets shot down by a MiG-21. Looking behind me, there's not really anyone who poses a threat, so I engage the Jaguar, go for a head-on, fire shots, pull out, very early pull out as well, and he just kept flying in a straight line and flew into my shots, giving me a fairly easy kill, no damage to myself, and I didn't even use too much ammunition in that attack. Now as mentioned, that critical hit on the F100 comes into play, and there we go, the second kill of the game is on that F100 who I first engaged. He was being chased by a majority of my team actually, so I assume he either crashed or just went down due to the damage that I caused. Nonetheless though, we're now going to focus on what is now the last enemy aircraft, an F-104. He's been running away from a friendly MiG for quite a while, and I decide to yeet an R60. As I do that, he decides to turn and drop altitude, making it quite easy for the missile to actually just curve in, chase him down, and take him out. And with that, that's my third and final kill of the game. A pretty simple match there. This was one of the games where my team, relatively easy, just took down the enemy, not too many losses on our side. Overall, a pretty nice game. 3 kills there. Basically 2 gun kills, 1 on the Jaguar, the F100, I got a critical, although I'm not entirely sure why he went down, whether it was just him crashing, or whether it was down to the damage I caused. And then of course we had the R60 kill on that F104. Overall, the Mig-21MF certainly seems to be one of the more competitive aircraft in top-tier aviation at the current time. This is not necessarily a BR range that I commonly play, but that is certainly the impression that I got while playing the aircraft. Generally, the aircraft has good flight performance all round, as well as a competitive close-range missile in the form of the R60. The only thing I can see it missing is a longer-range radar-guided missile, such as the AIM-7 Sparrow, although as far as I'm aware, the MF never used any missile that is comparable to the Sparrow. This aside though, the aircraft still performs just fine without longer-range missiles. Personally, I found it for the most part fun to play, and have almost finished spading my Mig-21MF, with at this point only the S-24 rockets to go. Anyways, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please consider dropping a like on the video, and if you wish to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.